Alrighty family, so in this video we're going to cover how to set up your Facebook ads, and we like to keep it super simple, straight to the point. This diagram that you're watching, you'll probably see it in the next following video on just the breakdown of how to manage your campaign so that it all makes more sense. But in this video I just want to cover the structure of the campaign itself and then kind of go through the setup with you guys and make it as easy as possible for you. So on a high level, everybody, we are running a CBO testing campaign. If you don't know what CBO means, that just stands for Campaign Budget Optimization. This is basically when you set the budget on the campaign level, and whatever ads that you have within the campaign, we allow Facebook to dictate where that spend goes, just because they have better understanding of their algorithm than we do, right? So we want Facebook to push budget towards the best area that it thinks it can acquire us customers at our desired target. Now, before we even move forward with strategy, the number one thing that we must talk about is your KPIs. Okay, your KPIs, your KPIs, your KPIs. You might be asking, what does KPI stand for? KPI stands for your key performance indicators. So down below this video somewhere, you're going to get a link to Javi, however you want to call it. And this is our Ecom KPI calculator. This is going to help you calculate your KPIs for things like your target CPA. That's what this TCPA stands for, right? And if you cannot explain to us what your KPIs are when you're going to set up ads and you're asking us questions about your ads, do not run ads. Do not run ads if you cannot explain to us that you know your KPIs, you know what your break-even ROAS is, you know your target CPA, you know your break-even cost per purchase, all things of that nature, because I promise you, if you just think you're going to breeze through this and just set up a campaign thinking it's going to work right out the rip, you will burn your budget. So I want to save you guys the trouble just by having that understanding beforehand, but you have to know your KPIs because we have to know how we operate our ads. All ads and campaigns operate a little differently based on the KPIs. So with that being said, what you'll want to do is come in to Javi, click on help me calculate my KPIs, and then it's going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you guys what it gives us. Okay, so basically it's going to ask you for a few details. So it's going to ask if you run supplement ads. It's going to ask you for your AOV. It's going to ask you for your cost of goods. And you'll basically need to be able to give it to that. Again, you'll need to have this information so that you get your KPIs. And so with that, you can see that it gives you your break-even ROAS, right? So 1.33 based on my numbers, our AOV being $55 and cost of goods being $13.50. So break-even ROAS is 1.33. Our break-even cost per purchase is $41.50, right? So this means that we can spend this amount to acquire a customer at break-even, right? Target CPA, this for supplements, we usually aim for around 20 to 30% margin after ads. So you can kind of give it a higher end if you want like 30%, but we kind of went with the middle range, 25% profit margins. So you see that based on our KPIs, our target CPA is $27.75. So we could round that up to 28 bucks. Now this is different from your break even because again, your break even is how much you can spend to acquire a customer and break even, while your target CPA allows you to be profitable every first purchase. And obviously as you grow your subscriptions, not only will you be able to profit on the front end, but your subscriptions will compound, allowing you to profit even more. Now, with that, it's going to let us know what we should start our CBO budget at. So it's usually 2x the target CPA, right? So, 27 to 28 bucks times 2 is roughly, $55 a day, or we can round it up to 60, right? Now that we have our KPIs, right? That's what this little section on the right side is right there. I just showed you guys the GBT to do that. We now want to set up our campaign, okay? Now, I want to make sure that you guys are on the same page as me because since we are setting up our budget at around $55 a day, there are certain rules which you guys will listen and learn about in the next following video on your first checkups, right? So we usually like to look at, the performance once your campaign spends about 5 times your target CPA. So if my target CPA is 28 bucks or whatever, right? $28 times 5. Okay, once my campaign spends roughly $140, we definitely need to have a sale, right? But again, all this stuff will be more in detail, but let's go ahead and talk about the actual setup here. So let's jump into the ads manager. Now, when you're in here, go ahead and click on create, and we're gonna go to sales. Now that we are in the campaign level, you can just name this the date that it's gonna run on. So we always run it at midnight. So let's go out for the 11th, right? You can just name it CBO testing, whatever you wanna call it, and then initials, okay? Budget strategy, you're gonna leave this at campaign budget. And remember, from our KPIs, right? Our starting campaign budget, we'll just do 2x the target CPA, right? So if our target CPA is $27.75, right? Start the budget at $55. So that's what I'm gonna set up in here, $55, okay? And then we can leave everything else as is. Now, once you get into the ad set level, one thing that you guys notice from this document is that every ad set is an angle. So by now you should already have researched, created ads and your copy around different angles for your product, right? Each angle has sub angles, right? So if I'm going after, let's say, weight loss, that's an angle, but what are sub angles within that angle, right? So an example would be, postpartum moms who are struggling with weight loss. That's a sub angle under the main angle, right? So each ad set is an angle, and within each ad set, we'll have anywhere from like 5 to 25 ads, right? Which I'm gonna show you guys how to set this up here pretty soon. So within it, let's say you just have angle 1. So I'm just gonna put angle 1, right? You can leave everything else as is. I'm gonna set this up for midnight. Okay. Locations, you can just run to the US for now. If you have your international market set up on Shopify, you can feel free to run ads to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom. But from here, you can there's one more section. You can look for, let's see here, right here under conversion. So just make sure you have the right pixel, the right conversion event. If you click on show more settings, I like to change these attribution settings to 1 day. This one's not important, but I'm just gonna do that real quick. Okay, so 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. All right, and then from here, this is where you're gonna build out your ad, right? So again, from that diagram, you saw that you can have anywhere from 5 to 25 ads, right? So for example, each ad that you see here will be its own image and its own copy. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up for angle 1 real quick and then show you guys the end result. All right, so as I'm building this out, you wanna make sure you put your website URL in here. You'll scroll down, and then once you go to setup creative, if you're doing all images, make sure to load up the images. So in here, just make sure you turn off all this extra stuff here. You can just simply do that by clicking on the pencil button and then just finding anywhere that allows you to turn it off. So I'm just gonna make sure that this is turned off here. All right, you'll go next. You're gonna add your media in here. So as you guys can see, I've uploaded my first, 5 images or whatnot. So I'm gonna upload image 1. Okay. This is where your primary text will come into play. So you'll have 5 different images, all with their own copy, right? So here's the copy for this one here. And then you want to fill in the headline as well. Headline, I have that there. Again, you'll all have these assets beforehand, so don't try to set up your ads if you don't have all this stuff set up from the prior videos, right? So I'm talking the images or your creatives, the copy, all the assets needed, just because it'll make your life so much easier just trying to launch, right? And then call to action, we like to do learn more, just because we're usually sending traffic to a pre-lander in our funnel. So this pre-lander will act as kind of like a warm up to our audience. So we'll click next. Okay, next. And then just make sure all these enhancements are turned off. Like so. And done. And that is image 1, which I'm going to name it angle 1 image 1, right? So I don't want to make this video too redundant, but I'm just going to fill out the other 4 images for angle 1 and then show you guys what that looks like. This is just a quick side note. I don't know why, but like sometimes as you're uploading your different images, there's a little related media section here. Just make sure to click on this trash button. Sometimes it'll pull from other images. Okay guys, so that took me about 6 to 7 minutes just to set up everything, but I just want to cover everything that we've set up so far. So we have our CBO campaign, and within it, I'm gonna use the visual. within it, each ad set represents an angle. So I don't know how many angles you come in to test is totally dependent on how many you've prepared, right? I'm only gonna do one example just because it'll take forever just for me to set up 6, just for me to not even launch them. But each ad set is its own angle. And within each angle, you have a minimum of 5 ads up to a maximum of 25 ads. Now, you're probably trying to guess, like, what's our goal with this? When you're testing different angles, you're trying to understand what sub-angle, what funnel is working the best to go out and scale further, right? So one thing that you'll notice is with these ads here, for angle 1, whatever angle 1 might be, I haven't really made one up. Let's just say, we'll just stick it to like weight loss or whatever, right? Sub angle, whatever. And now we have the 5 different images. As you can see here, they're all different images, all with different ad copy and headlines as well, right? So you're trying to spread your test within that angle, okay? So you have each ad set being its own angle. And for each ad, you have its own ad copy, like the primary text and the headline, and its own image, right? And if I had 3 total angles, I would just duplicate this 2 more times, right? And then fill in angle 2, angle 3, ads, and ad copy, right? But from here, guys, I would essentially just go ahead and click publish, okay? Now, that is all you have to do for your Facebook ads, guys. We try to keep it super simple. I think the next video, it's more important that you understand the rules of how to run your ads, not necessarily the setup per se, because with the rules, I'll just do a quick little touch up on it. You guys saw that based on our KPIs here, our target CPA is $27.75. We're starting the budget at 2x the target CPA. So that means, as you guys saw here on the campaign level, the budget's at $55. Now, here are the rules. Once your campaign reaches 5x your target CPA, meaning $27.75 times 5, I think that's like $140, you should have a sale or 2, maybe 3. If you do not, you need to go back and look at your ads. You need to go back and look at your lander, right? Something with your offer is not working, okay? Now, each angle that you run or its own ad set, you will cut those when they spend 3x your target CPA, right? So a lot of people get this confused, like, oh, coach, my campaign spent 3x my target CPA. And I'll just tell them, are you talking about your campaign or the angle itself or the ad set itself, right? Because there's rules on every level, right? So you guys saw, once your campaign reaches 5x your target CPA, you should have sales overall, right? But even on the ad set level, the angle level, as you guys could say, the angle level here, right? You want to let each angle spend 3x your target CPA. Also mentioned in your KPI rule right here, right? Ad set kill rule. Turn off ad sets that spend 3x your target CPA. So if angle 1 spends $83, because that is 3x my target CPA with 0 purchases, turn it off. I'm telling you guys, this is the easiest way to run Facebook's. All you need to do is just follow these rules, because where issues happen is when people just kind of let things flow without really assessing what's happening in their funnel, right? So you allow your ad sets to spend 3x your target CPA. If that angle doesn't perform or convert, turn it off, right? However, on the campaign level, on the overall level, you want this to spend 5x so that you do your first checkup. You should have a sale by then, right? And then at 10x your target CPA, you should be break even or profitable, okay? Again, all this stuff will be more in depth in the following video, but I just wanted to show you guys really quickly on how to set up your videos. Again, guys, super easy structure here. We've got a CBO, you've got however many angles within it, and within each angle, you have your 5 to 25 ads, all with different images, all with different text as well here. And then you just move forward from there.